Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Classes of Mail. My name is Alan Gigax, and I have some awesome guests with me today who I think are going to be able to really carry the weight of this interview because this is what they're passionate about. Guys, we're talking about the upcoming rallies that we're going to have nationwide for our contract, where the negotiations are going to start in February or March or right around that time, and we're going to have nationwide rallies in order to build support for our contract demands. And so these are the people putting it all together. We're going to have a conversation with them today. So first, let me have my guests introduce themselves. I got three guests. We'll start with you, Chris.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Persampieri. I'm the Legislative Political Director for Branch 18, and I've been a city letter carrier for 8 years.
All right, fantastic. And Derek.
Hey everybody, Derek from Boston, Branch 34. I'm an alternate steward. I'm on the Massachusetts State Board, and I've been carrying for almost 2 years now.
All right. Derek, are you a full-time regular?
Yes.
Nice.
They convert fast in major cities.
Yeah, I guess so. Right. That makes sense. All right, cool, man. And then who else is here? Greg.
Hi, I'm Graig Samoluk. I am the president of Branch 334 out of Framingham, Massachusetts. I've been president for the last 5 years.
Right on. So you got reelected at least once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ran unopposed, so that was easy.
Yeah, that helps. That does help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. That's what's driving up that incumbency win rate is when there's no opponent. Yeah, that definitely helps. All right, so let's get down to, well, actually first, there's one more thing I want to talk about. You guys are you guys all members of Build Fighting NALC?
Yes.
Chris?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Greg, how do you, hold on. Derek and I
oh
definitely
boy, this is
are.
controversial.
This is, folks, you're hearing it first.
Okay.
I am not an official member of
Okay.
BFN. These two, we have we'll talk about it, I think, a little as we go on. We are all a part of a group within Massachusetts that has a WhatsApp chat and have Zoom meetings, and not everybody's an official BFN member in there. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't classify myself as anything other than a branch president that is trying to make this union stronger and a better place.
That's fair. So I guess we're 50-50 here because while I am a booster and supporter of BFN, I'm not like an official, actor on their part or an official part of their organization. So that's fair. You can definitely be a supporter of BFN and be on board with what they're doing without necessarily being like an officer in their structure or something like that. All right. So with that out of the way, let's talk about what you guys are actually trying to accomplish, what this working group is putting together. So Chris, go ahead and take that one.
Yeah, sure. So one thing that our union lacks, I mean, there's many, but one is the fact that contract kickoff rallies are standard practice for every other union. Teamsters do it, SAG-AFTRA does it, UAW does it. That's common. We used to do them. We still have in my office, we're a smaller office where I'm in Massachusetts, but we have those pins from the 90s that harder work means equal pay. It wasn't until recently I found out that those were like rallies. That was like, we were fighting for arbitration to get these things, and that involved rallies, and that was standard practice. Also in the 90s, I don't think it's a coincidence that we had the highest pay in the industry by far. One of the greatest. It wasn't because we had we had some good people there, but like the rank and file was motivated and hit the streets and did stuff. That's what happened. And while recently, we had a couple of years ago, we had the Fight Like Hell rallies, and I'm happy they happened, but 3 weeks is not enough time to organize effectively, really. There wasn't really much internal organizing. I will say those of us in Boston, the three of us and many people who are in Build the Fighting NLC Massachusetts branch and people who are, friendly to us, we organized it on our own. We got the permits. We did all the legwork. We did everything. We pled our case to President Rooney and to the NBA Rick DeCecco, and we told them we had a plan ready to go. We had the PA, we got the permits, we did all of this work. And what did we do? And they're like, all right, that sounds good. So we organized the most successful rally, I think, in the country in Boston. We got Congressman Stephen Lynch. He's the one that co-sponsored HR 70. He's been a friend of the city letter carrier. He came out and speak. We had the major, like, we knew what to do in Boston, and it was well done. But 3 weeks was not enough time for us to do it. You need to plan these out months in advance. And all of us now, I mean, and I'm sure Greg and Craig can talk about how much time and dedication we had to do, like getting a PA, getting a core system, making the signs ready. But we had to have all of that done, and that was on our own volunteer time. We were working on the overtime list, and we're trying to like make sure you get the permit. Is a PA system there? No. Do we have a backup PA system? Who's going to bring the pens? Do we have a sign? Like, we had to do this on the fly on our own. And why we think we want to have these rallies is just, we want to make sure we have enough time.
Right. Because in your case, you had highly motivated people who have some organizing experience. You take, by contrast to that, like my branch here in Las Vegas, where, we had our rally, we voted it in a couple weeks before, but we don't have like mechanisms in my branch to get the word out. And we don't have effective organizers. And so there's no way you can have a really good, well-attended rally without a lot of lead time. And so, that's exactly what you're talking about. So let's say we get this organizing committee together, we get this organizing movement to take hold. What do you actually want those people to accomplish when they go out to the picket line? Like, what change are you looking to affect?
Yeah. So when we discussed, there was two trains of thought. And I will say, Mike Cariff and David Grosskopf from the CLC, we got them to come together. That was huge, I think. And I'll say, no, David Grosskopf is the best organizer in our union, hands down. Hear about what he did in Buffalo. That is the best organizer, and I was so happy he was a part of it. Mike Cariff had some great ideas. Like, we got some good people. What I like about our group, we're not playing politics. I know right now you might have heard some things. This isn't it. This BFN, we're not endorsing anybody. I think that's a smart move. Let people do politics right here. This is the city letter carrier. This is light blue. We need a good contract. That's what we're going to fight
right.
for.
And in that interview, when you had Henry and Cariff on, and that was amazing, you also got a statement from Renfro that essentially, he offered his support as well. So it seems like, at least by now, what people are saying, there's nobody who's opposed to this, but that still doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. And so I want to move down to a question that was a little bit later, which is, what sort of support is needed from national to make this happen? What material things actually have to happen from national in order to make this a reality?
Derek, I'll let you take that one because I yapped enough.
Yeah. I mean, I think the rally is not the goal in itself. The goal is a good contract. And essentially every other union in this country, anyone that gets good contracts regularly, like UPS recently did through their new leadership in Teamsters, what they do is they have contract campaigns where they reach out to every member of the union, hear what they need from the contract, and then slowly escalate what people are willing to do. Like the reason why you have UPS drivers who are making 40 plus bucks an hour is because they were organized. And I think rallies are the best way to reach the rank and file where we are right now. So people can come out, see the numbers that we have, see that people are fed up with how these last contracts have gone.
Absolutely. Yeah. And UPS took that rallying cry directly to the public and made it known, this is what we're asking for. And the problem we had last time is, we had this rally. Oh, we're fed up. We're going to fight like hell. But our demands, Renfro always kept those close to the vest. And it turns out for good reason, because he was at no interest in fulfilling those demands. And so with these kind of rallies, we can make public demands instead of relying on Renfro to make our demands for us in private when he has another opportunity to sell us down the river. We can say openly, this is what we want. Yeah, Derek.
Yeah. It seems like he's changed course on that too.
So
Because
far.
recently he's mentioned the fact that, concessions might be coming. What happened to being sneaky, not letting people know what you were asking for?
Yeah. Yeah, Greg.
Just to add on to what Derek said, recent events have shown that he has an opportunity right now. He just got two good cards in his deck where the super that we could, and the supervisors
They got a
recently,
raise,
everybody
yep.
saw they got a nice little raise, and
Yep.
I know that's tied to a lawsuit, but the public doesn't have to know that it's tied to a NAPS lawsuit. But also, what happened yesterday was a deal that UPS came back, and this was DeJoy's big thing. DeJoy made called their bluff. He's gone now. Steiner reached out, got them back, but now they have another opportunity to say, "Wait a minute." When we were at a rap session, you said the post office compared us to DoorDash, Uber drivers, stuff like that. We've always thought we should be compared to UPS. Now they had to come crawling back because they don't feel like paying the money to get the $49 an hour that those people are going to be making in a year. Post office, the public sector help out the private sector yet again, and that's a chip he and I'm not a master negotiator, but that's a chip that
Neither
you
is
have. Neither is he. But maybe this is what I've always said. Maybe it's time to start listening to the people that are in it. And I think as we go into these negotiations, and maybe he will listen, he might be interviewed next week and he might get some tips. But it's a good opportunity with these two things that just happened this week. It's like it's more power in our hands, and it's always going to be more fun to, as we were saying before we came on, it's always going to be more fun to be on the fighting side than the side that sits at the table and takes the picture of
Right.
them and looks happy.
Chris, what do you want to add?
Yeah. So, and one thing we did come up with too, because we were like, all right, we need to do rally. One camp was like, we need to do DC. Other camp said we need to do it in our own city, and we came to the compromise. We're going to do both.
There
That's
you go.
what we want to do. Now, DC Renfro, ultimately, that's his thing. He has a lot of power that he can organize it. But the cities, we like any rank and file person listening, reach out to us. We'll help you because there's a lot of people who want to do in their own city. And also make sure it's a major city. But that's where the presidents like Greg here, another Tom Rooney, president who's running for NBA in Region 14, they've been coming out saying, look, we'll help you organize buses. Presidents have the power. They can organize, charter a bus, bus the people into a major city, one big giant rally in your city. Because if you're in Seattle, I don't think you can make DC. But, we're in Massachusetts. We could get it's about an 8-hour bus ride. We could do that. That's fine. But if you're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I don't think that's possible. So that's why we came to the compromise, because we need to go to DC. That's what we need. We need one of those. Absolutely.
Chris, it's a great point because larger rallies are more effective. Like I could see here in Las Vegas chartering a bus and going to Los Angeles to make it a huge rally. Yeah. Instead of having a rally of 100 people in Vegas, have a rally of 4,000 people in Los Angeles, and now you've got something.
Right.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
that's exactly it.
And to
Yes.
do things like that, you need this advanced planning. You need that lead-in time. Okay, so you guys touched on Brian Renfro is saying the right things, and I agree with that. Like this rank and file committee. Obviously, this is something that should be done, and it's something that we can all get behind and support. The question is it just lip service? Is it just for show? And an example that I want to point to is at the Boston Convention. For those of us who were there, the membership passed an open bargaining resolution. It was Resolution 11, and it ordered Brian Renfro to share, quote, comprehensive, detailed information, end quote, about the bargaining process once the contract negotiations were complete. This resolution passed. The body at the convention is the ultimate authority. They tell Renfro what to do. That passed, and Renfro has completely ignored the resolution. He has not shared dick from the last round of negotiations. So with that in mind, with him completely ignoring the expressed written will of the membership, do we actually have any faith that he'll follow through on any of this?
So I mean, I'm always going to have the optimistic view. I'm always going to put my faith into the last that someone's gonna change, right? And like I know it's tough with this with Brian, but I feel like that they sent out a survey. Now, not all of us got it. I got it. About what you want to see from him in terms of bargaining. How often do you want to get
But this for the
updated?
new contract?
This
For the
is
one that's
yeah.
upcoming?
Yeah, this was a
Oh,
couple of
wow.
months ago, I think, because
Yeah.
John Murphy and I both got it. I know Chris didn't get it, and we tried to save it, but we couldn't send it. But
Okay.
it was asking questions about what you'd like to see. So when I see that, I'm like, okay, maybe they're starting to take that approach because they've always taken the approach, and I don't know how long you've carried, but oh, we don't want them to know what the negotiations are. Well,
Right.
no, of course you want. We want I wanted table two gone.
Yeah.
Say that. Say it. We
Right.
want a starting wage of $30 an hour. Who is going to be afraid to say that?
Right.
Just say your demands, and the public then knows. And maybe the public says, I got a great carrier in Derek. He's only been there for 2 years, and he's only making $23 an hour to live in the one of the highest cost of living place. This guy deserves more. This person deserves more. So he should. I hope he's open about it, and I hope he doesn't go back on that resolution that passed in Boston because we all want to know. Now, do I think 200,000 of us want to know? I think some people just go to work every day and they don't even know what the contract is.
Most
But I think
people, probably.
most people, but
Yeah.
I think there's a percentage, and we're seeing more and more creep up over the last year that want updates on that want to know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's worth, I mean, he's the one who has to negotiate it, right? So we kind of have to put faith in him. Chris first and then Derek. Chris, you had something to add?
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing that we saw, and I love the fact that the Teamsters did their campaign because it could maybe Brian Renfro couldn't take notes, but I knew what the Teamsters were negotiating for. They told them that their version of CCAs, they're going to fight for air conditioning in their trucks. They told everybody, they gave, my wife is in SAG-AFTRA. Their president was telling them, this is what we're fighting over. This is where we're at. This is where that's all you have to do. That's not hard. That's common, because if you say and you went some we all those people. Well, Congress could get involved if they find out. What's going to happen if they find out that what we want a living wage? So
Right.
what? But my answer to that really is this: we need to make this a constitutional amendment in Los Angeles. Massachusetts BFN has been talking about this. Open bargaining has to be in the Constitution because you can't ignore a resolution, and he did and
Right.
got away with it. Once it's in the Constitution, there's no ambiguity that we can file charges because that's my solution. And Matt, like I said, we're working on that resolution right now. So
Yeah, I will
that
absolutely 100% support that. Derek, you still got something to add? Please.
Yeah. I mean, what the contract is depends on a lot of factors. I mean, we don't deliver, the vital information that Wall Street needs to run the way that we did in 1970. Mail volumes are going down even as package volumes are going up. It looks like we might be going into a recession sooner or later, which, is all things that are creating an uphill battle for us being able to have the high standard of living we used to. But those are all things we can't control. What we can control is what our union does. That we can be a deeply organized union that is able to have a thorough contract campaign that makes our demands clear to the post office, that makes our demands clear to the public. And that's what used to happen in the 70s and 80s. The NALC president and the APWU president would walk into a room with the postmaster general and say, here's what we want. If you don't do this, I'm calling for a wildcat strike, or I'm calling for a strike. Now, that was illegal for them to do, and whether or not they actually would have done it is one thing or another. But the postmaster believed him, and
Right,
it
that's
gave
the
us some
important
of
part.
the best contracts we've ever had.
Right.
But now our union, most rank and file carriers view it essentially as discipline insurance. Maybe we get a bigger raise than normal, and if I'm take a nap in my car, this guy will do what he can for me, and that's not what it used to be. And
Right.
I think things will keep going downhill until we change how we actually organize ourselves. And
Yeah.
we shouldn't expect much better until we do.
No, and to get back to this constitutional amendment for open bargaining, the fact that Renfro was able to negotiate in secret and keep those demands in secret is part of how we got into this mess, because there was no opportunity for carriers to say, oh, fuck no, until it was too late. And, he came to Las Vegas and told us during negotiations that he's working on eliminating table 2 and everybody's going to start at the starting wage on table 1 and all this bullshit that clearly he wasn't, and saying that management was almost to his number, which all of this was grossly untrue. But if we knew what he was actually asking for, or if our demands were actually being heard, it would change the tenor of those negotiations. And this whole idea that, if we acknowledge what we're asking for, then there's going to be all these bad repercussions. Well, first of all, when you go into that negotiating table, when he sits across from Doug Tolino, they don't just stare at each other. He does ask. It's not like we keep our demands secret. That's the whole fucking point of negotiating. You tell them what you want. That number is not secret from Doug Tolino. And then on top of that, if word got out, it would undermine our negotiations. Bullshit. Because if that could happen, don't you think Doug Tolino would do that? And then we would have nowhere to go? Greg.
Well, I'm working on a conspiracy theory, some might call it, but I've never seen a company cry poor mouth for 20 years, but they're able to make payroll, they're able to give bonuses, and then they just have this pool of money for the last group of people that actually touch the mail.
It's weird.
Someone's eventually. I thought the one positive of Doge, and that coming out of someone like me, someone coming out of my mouth to say positive and Doge in the same sentence. The one positive I thought was they could look at the books of the post office and say, where are you actually losing money?
Right.
Where and by the way, and I hope everybody thinks about this, they lost $100 million in Article 8 grievances last year or the year before. I don't know what it is this year. And you know how you don't lose $100 million in Article 8 grievance? You follow the contract.
Yeah.
And the people that are responsible for that $100 million just got a nice little pay bump. So if you're rewarding them, where's our reward for going out there? And I don't know where you live, but these guys, Derek delivers in a city that's, probably has some robberies. I know Boston had some issues with carriers being robbed. Weather, look at the weather that we're out here. We're having a hell of a storm right now, but we go out there and there's just there's that little pool of money for us, but there's a bigger pool for everybody else. So
right. I missed it if somebody raised their hand. Otherwise, I got go on to the next.
No, I just talk with my hands.
Okay,
so
I knew I saw a hand
you're very
somewhere.
Italian with that. Speaking as an Italian here,
Right.
yeah, very good. You just got to put your fingers up like this a little bit more. Stugats.
Right.
All right.
Okay, so Derek, you guys mentioned, or somebody mentioned that Renfro had actually sent out, or National sent out surveys asking carriers what they wanted from their contract. So Derek, you've actually been working on a survey of your own with John Murphy, asking people what they want in their contract. So what is in that survey, and what kind of questions are in it? What do you plan to do with that information?
Yeah. So the survey is the first step of any contract campaign. When the nurses at the Butler Hospital in Rhode Island were big strike that happened last year, they won incredible contracts that they hadn't gotten since before COVID. What they did at the start of the contract campaign was go to workers in every unit. People talked with their steward. They talked with staff organizers about what they wanted, what were their needs in the campaign. I don't think people at National really have a good idea of what people's priorities are. And that's not just to be a thermometer to see where people are at. That's the first step of having organizing conversations, of seeing what people need and what they're willing to do to get it. And so the contract survey, it has mostly basic questions about pay, working conditions, and it doesn't take that long to fill out. So I encourage people to go on fightingnalc.com and press join, put your information in there, and then on Sunday we will be sending out both a digital version that you can fill out, and also a printable version. And I really encourage people to, talk with maybe their shop steward, and see if you can get other people in your station to fill these surveys out.
Dude, that's a great idea.
This is how other unions organize. This is not crazy stuff.
Right.
This is like AFL-CIO standard that they adopted back in the 90s.
So this episode,
we have got to get into this century when it comes to being a union that's able to deliver for our members.
I'm planning on releasing this episode tomorrow morning. So there will be time for the people who download this quickly to go and sign up for this. So say again where people can go to sign up to receive this survey.
Yeah, that's fightingnalc.org. And once we release it on Sunday, it'll also be up on that website, and you'll be able to see.
Cool.
And yeah, we'll be collecting survey responses and putting that together as a list of demands for National to prioritize within our next round of bargaining.
Nice.
Correction, and fightingnalc.com, not org.
Oh, that is an important correction.
.com. I know. We are an org, but
it's a link in the bio. Link in the bio.
Right. And Chris, I saw you raise your hand earlier. Do you have something else?
Yeah. So one thing too, and I get this one. This is where we get some heat from, and I get it. So the internet, as we all know, is a healthy place for good conversation and debate, obviously. And someone's like, "Well, aren't you worried that this is you're helping President Renfro, right? This is just going to help make him.
Why
look
would
good.
you worry about that?"
That's some people. That's the thing. We get that,
okay,
right?
Because go ahead, address it.
He wants to come out on top of these things, and I get it. But my thing is this: I'm helping the city letter carry. Whoever the president has a lot of power, no matter what, whether we like it or not. He is negotiating this contract. That's a fact. People said there was 4 attempts. He's not going anywhere. This is the president we got right now. That's just it. But when it comes to the contract survey and what Derek's doing. We have a list in BFN of about 3,000 people, right? We can at most maybe we can get 5,000 or 6,000 people to do this survey. Brian Renfro could snap his fingers and he could have paid staffers put out a survey and get it to all 200,000 active carry members in 2 hours, get the results and show it to all of us. We in BFN do not have that ability. He does. That's why we want him on board, because once he signs off on it, money, resources, and the staff. Like I said, we've been doing this on or off time. I know Derek works. I mean, Derek is usually he might be coming back from work, driving home. Like, we work long hours, and this is tough for us to do all of it. But Renfro has the staff and the money and the people, and that's why we want him on board. He is coming on our show to talk about it on November 4th too, because we just want a date. That's what we do need him on board. Whether we like it or not, he's going to be, like I said, James Henry and Mike Cariff both said we interviewed him and they're cool with it too. That's the president we got. If you want to change it, that's the end of the year.
All right, Greg.
Chris told me one time that a very smart person said to him once, "If Brian Renfro succeeds, we all succeed." Right, Kristen?
He was rather good look. I don't know, smart, but a rather dashing man, I will say. But and to quote the man again, because I know you quote better than you. Renfro is not as bad as we think, and other candidates may not be as good as we think. That's just it. We do need. We realize that sometimes we got to come together, and this rally is about coming. This isn't politics. This is the contract. If Renfro gets a good contract, we get a good contract. That I know that's just the way it is. We can vote this guy out. I'm not a fan of his. I'm not endorsing a candidate, but I'm endorsing an anti-vote on Renfro. But we need it. People are living paycheck to paycheck. Our insurance is going up again this year by 12%. We're hurting. We need this. So I don't care who the president is. I'll work with the devil himself to get a good contract.
Yeah, if Renfro comes through with a great contract, then great. I'll pat him on the back on the way out the door instead of kicking him in the ass on the way out the door. I'm happy to do that. Yep, exactly.
Same. Yep.
Okay, so that's the national level for these rallies. But of course, there's a local component to all this that we've kind of been talking about. But you have a lot of branches that are just either complacent or they're comfortable with the status quo, or they're pro status quo. So how do reform-minded members start to get their branch on board and start to build up this movement for a rally?
So, Alan, I think this is going to be the toughest part about these rallies is getting these other branches on board. And we had a group the other day, and someone was saying, "Well, my president's only going to do what Brian does." Well, that's fine. Brian's going to endorse these rallies, but what we need is these branches that are a little apathetic. They need to form groups like we did in Massachusetts here. The way we did the Fight Like Hell was just a ragtag group of people. Um, they need to make this a priority at union meetings to talk about it because it's going to happen fast. Like you see how time flies. Before you know it, it's going to be the holidays, and then it's going to be the new year. Then we're going to be like, we got to get these things together. But we need to form these groups because we need to make them larger. You need to make your voice heard, and the strength in numbers, obviously. But you need to also show when I say young, I mean post office young. Like we have PTFs that are 55 years old. You need to show the younger members that there is some fight left in this union, that's where the branch presidents take a lead role. If you're not going to listen to Brian or your region, your branch president should really be getting people organized. Like I was so proud of my branch. I had more members at our rally than all the bigger branches had, and I thought that was, we just talked about it for union meetings. They were all excited to make signs. You have to get that fight in them because I've been around here for 20 years. I want this place to succeed. I want to retire, but there are forces at work right now that want to make this place a less desirable place. We all know what they'd love to do. They want to tear it apart. That's when a union comes in and forms a group and says, no, it's not going to happen. We have the public on our side. But if everybody sits on the sideline and doesn't get in the fight, yeah, we will lose. Because if 15 people show up to the Boston rally, it's going to be meaningless. But if 1,000 do, if 1,200 do, if you form a group to go to LA and all those surrounding branches around LA come to LA and the public's like, what is going on? Is it another No Kings rally? No, it's even better. Your local letter carrier is looking for a better contract because we think we deserve more. So I think it does fall on the branch presidents, and we really need them to organize this because I think, if, like I always said, if you're unhappy with national and you want to get out of the union, I encourage you not to, because I hope you're happy with the $20 that your union goes to your local level, and I hope you're getting your money worth it out of me for what I do in my branch. So that's an approach I've always taken.
Right, Derek.
Yeah, I think for people who are maybe not on board with some of the things that BFN says, or think the CLC are, making too much hay out of nothing. Remember that like they can come after and dissolve a union pretty easily. That's what they did to TSA agents. They don't have a union anymore. The union doesn't negotiate their wages. They don't file grievances. Nothing. They're gone. And I have a friend who works for Passports. They technically still have a union, but they fired half of the staff there, and they took out the automatic union dues deduction. And so the union started to, is basically broke now. They're doing what they can with lawsuits and trying to do the organizing that needed to happen years ago, to get people back just to paying dues, not even to doing something like going out on a rally. Understand, weak unions die. That's why unionization rates have gone down, is because we've had weak unions that aren't organized. And if you want to retire in a union, you should start getting organized.
Yeah, that's the truth. Chris?
Yeah. So one thing, I'll post it here in case we put it in the show notes. But I remember there was someone I met at the Beyond Formula training, and they're a VP out in California, and they're like, "Love this. I don't know where to start." So there's a checklist I made. It's what we did in Boston, but one thing that is important for doing these is just like what Greg said: find a couple of people. That's going to be tough because, I'm a big branch. I don't have we're not there's not a big culture in my thing, but finding, doing a WhatsApp group, it just makes it a lot easier to find each other, get each other to help each other out. But, we got politicians, we got the media, like, it's a lot of work, but once you see it actually happen, I can't tell you, and I'm speaking for, it's the most satisfying thing I've ever done, being part of, to see it all come together, having this huge rally, making it happen, and it worked out really well. And also, if we're going to DC, because privatization keeps coming up. Now, look, I know people have been hearing this for 40 years. Do I think it's a looming threat? Not super, but it's the biggest threat in 40 years of actually happening. If we're in DC and we show up in force, and there's thousands of in DC in February, that sends a message to Washington and all the politicians that we're not to be screwed with. We'll do when we got because remember, we're more popular than Congress. Congress has like a 13% approval rating. We're in the 70s. People like us, they don't like you. So it gets, like I said, and for the next contract, every contract, this should be standard practice. And we need to start doing it now, because what Derek said is right. Weak unions die. And this is the first step to making us a fighting NALC.
There you go. Now we're talking. All right. So I want to wrap this up here. So that's a great kind of note to end it on. But Derek, I saw you raise your hand. Go ahead and give us whatever's on your mind and maybe a final thought. And then Graig, and then Chris, if there's anything left, and then I'll close us out. All right. So Derek.
Yeah, I encourage people to go to their branch meetings and bring forward a resolution that, find a city in your area that works for you, and say, hey, I think we should have a rally on the 22nd, and we need to set up some sort of committee to plan this rally. I think is one of the best ways to sort of see who comes to the meetings, who's interested in this type of thing, because you'll find people. And then if you want to get involved with Build a Fighting NALC, go to fightingnalc.com and press the join button, or give your info at the bottom of the page. And the contract survey will be coming up very soon. Fill that out yourself, but also print out the printable version and have some conversations with the people who you know at your station. Ask them what issues they're having at work, what they need more from their job, because we're all out here struggling. I mean, this is it. It's 2025. It's tough out there, guys. Take care of each other.
Right on. It's good advice. All right, Graig.
Yeah, I think what Derek said is get involved, go to your union meetings. Never be afraid to go to a union meeting. Like I say to my PTFs, it's going to feel weird to walk in. You don't know where to sit. It's your meeting. Show up, ask a question. Your president gets paid. I mean, I hope to answer your questions. We work for you guys. And this group that we formed, a bunch of random people on a WhatsApp chat around the Fight Like Hell rally, we would have meetings once a week. We were on the phone with each other the Saturday night, Friday night before the meeting, 11 o'clock at night, having a spirited debate. But we formed this group, and it really shows what a union is, because it's not just your union in your branch. It's now I'm friends, and I talk to Chris about political stuff. Derek and other stewards from Boston will text me, say, hey, what do you think about this idea in a PDI? Or I ask another president, James Capone, for advice on doing a grievance. That's what a union is. It's not just your branch, it's the other people in the union. And then as you become more comfortable, it's easier to organize. So I just want to close on two things. If you want to organize and you don't know how to start, we hold meetings. Chris, what is it? The second Tuesday?
It's moved around because of the holiday, but it's the last Tuesday of the month, last Tuesday of this month, because of the special holidays and everything. But
we'll help. Just come to a meeting. We had some new people come this week.
2 new people. We got
two
2
new people.
Yeah.
We'll
Nice.
take anybody advice, but what I'd like to see happen at this with this rally is I don't want the step P people who are probably close to retirement, who are making a decent living, and I'm one of them. I'm not complaining about my yearly salary. I want them to step up and fight for the people that are, and I always use table two. Well, now there's one table, but the old table two, step D, because my vice president is table two, step D, and to live around here and make $59,000 a year and depend on working 60 hours a week, there's no life. So
It's tough.
yeah, if the step P people can step up and organize these rallies and show we're fighting, we're not just fighting to make $90,000 a year, we're fighting for the table two people to make, I'll say $13,000 more a year. But that's what a union does, is it helps out the people that aren't there yet. So
That's it. All right, Chris.
There's an old union line, and I believe it, that you're to leave the union in a better condition than when you found it. We have a lot of work to do right now. And Greg touched on it, but if you're just a regular city carrier in the middle of nowhere, say up in upstate Vermont, in a city, and you feel isolated and alone, we're here. BFN is a bunch of us. You don't even have to be join us or not. I don't care. Do you want to help organize? Reach out to us. We want to help, because the old line, help me, help you, help us kind of thing. We're all in this together. You get a good contract, I get a good contract. We all get a good contract. We desperately need a win. I know looking outside the window, the world's kind of bleak, but being a part of this group for the last 2 years has been a wonder for my mental health. Also we do fundraising things. We do MDA. I did a cornhole tournament over Mike's thing at Branch 25. We go to each other's events. We go to each other's parties. Like, we've all gone to become kind of friends of this whole thing. Like, it's just on a personal level, it's nice to be a part of something that makes you feel good, and you're looking out for each other. And one thing is, courage is contagious. People will see people stepping up. People come out of their comfort zone. I've been around for 8 years. I tried from I was an organizer before. I couldn't get anything going. And finally, I met John Murphy. I met Capone. I met Greg. I met Derek. I met all these great people along the way. And it's been a great journey. So if you're looking to get involved, now is the time, because December's out. It's Christmas time, but reach out to us. I know your time's limited. If you got 5 minutes, give me your 5 minutes. You got an hour, give me an hour. We'll talk to you for but that's the thing. And we're growing, and it's been going great. So please keep up the fight and keep up the struggle.
Awesome. All right. And I'll go ahead and get us out of here. So, I've been to a couple of these rallies now. I'm still fairly new to union activism. Even though I've been in the union for 20 years, I was always one of those carriers who just clocked out and went home, and I didn't really think about it much. And I got to tell you guys, when I was standing, I've been to the Enough is Enough rally and the Fight Like Hell rally. And when I was standing on that street corner and people would drive by and honk, I would get teary-eyed. Like, oh my God, here's this random stranger driving by and showing their love for our cause and believing in us. And as rank and file members of the NALC, as letter carriers, you may not have it in you to stand up at your union meeting and push for reform and be the one to take the lead on this. But I'll tell you something that you can do, and it's something we can all do, is nurture that love. That love that we have from the public, it has to be nurtured. And that means that when somebody wants to give you their outgoing package, you say, oh, thank you. And you scan it, because that's our future. And that's us being part of the community. And when their flag is up, you stop and you take their outgoing mail and you say hello to them. And you actually put their package under the awning on their porch and little things like that. Guys, if we don't nurture that love from the public, none of this is going to work. And that's what guys like Chris and Greg and Derek are talking about calling on in February. This relationship that the post office has built with the public for 250 years, we're going to take that relationship and put it to the test and say, hey, we know you love us. We need you to show that support. Well, guys, we have to do our part to keep that love going. We have to do our jobs the right way. We have to serve these customers, because I'm on board with this. I'm on board with getting out there and asking the public to support us back. They need to want to do it. So, guys, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. On behalf of Derek Liemohn, Graig Samoluk, and Chris Persampieri, Thank you very much for coming on to Classes of Mail, and I will catch you all next time.